welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you critical and in-depth reviews of just about every indie game we can get our hands on. And today we're going to be taking a look at Irony Curtain from Matryoshka with Love. And if you couldn't tell just by the title of the game, yes, this is a little bit of Cloak and Dagger spy play on words, reminiscent of those 007 James Bond eras. But don't expect too much combat because this is a true-to-form point-and-click adventure. We start off the game Irony Curtain with a bit of a flashback to the main character's past as he's running away from what looks to be a civil uprising in some place that is definitely not remotely associated with Cold War Russia. And after this very small opening scene that gets us a bit of a feel for playing through a point-and-click adventure, we really start the gameplay off in Chapter 1, where we discover who and what our main character is. And as it turns out, the main character of the game, Evan, is a bit of a naive journalist and also a communist sympathizer. So as you can imagine, he's not really too popular with his colleagues and co-workers in the Western world. And it's after a not-so-successful talk that he's contacted by the game's femme fatale. Anna arranges his illegal entry into Matryoshka, where he's been tantalized by the idea of finally meeting his heroic idol, the leader. And it's with this motivation in mind that the entire game stacks up his main chapters to chronicle the events that Evan goes through as he's introduced to a communist society and slowly grows to breach the boundaries of his own naivety. But moving on from the story in hopes of not spoiling anything from anyone, the actual game mechanics of the point and click are, as I said earlier, really true to form. You'll be wandering around the game from scene to scene, chapter to chapter, finding and carrying items in order to hopefully plug them into the appropriate puzzle or combine them together to make a new actionable item. Playing through Irony Curtain also, you'll find certain dialogue trees, certain logic puzzles, a few riddles, and even some mini-games. But while several of the mini-games will test your dexterity and many of the later game puzzles may have you pretty stumped, there is a specific controller button that highlights every single actionable item and character in every single gaming area. And as a lot of the items that you might need to solve certain puzzles blend seamlessly into the background, that is really helpful. Other than that though, in every single area of the game, there's either going to be an NPC that pretty much spells out exactly what you need to do to move forward if you get stuck, or there will be a phone available somewhere that you can actually call a helpline. And if all else fails, I suppose there are online walkthroughs, so whatever. But pressing forward into the game's visuals and audio, the visual presentation in From Matryoshka with Love is obviously going to be one of its biggest initial sells. I wouldn't actually say it's the best part of the game because the gameplay and all of the character interactions are really solid. But the quality of the visuals, the color schemes, and the animations of the characters, they just give you a presentation of the game that shows you how much time and energy the developer put into it. The soundtrack as well is something worth noting. It may not be something you'd want to listen to 24/7 because it does a really good job at just immersing you in that bleak and surrealistic, impoverished environment of the portrayal of the communist nation. But it was really well done, and every single character in the game, including minor NPCs, are fully voiced over. If you weren't aware, and this is actually your first time hearing about Irony Curtain from Matryoshka with Love on the Switch or other systems, this is actually a $20 title, and the reason I tried to push out this review so quickly is because it's currently on sale for $1.99. So even though the game does have a few flaws, like the character's movement speed being incredibly slow, which only adds to the bit of the laborious nature of certain step and fetch quests, and the fact that, yeah, if you're really into the visuals, there might be a couple lags or glitches in some of the cutscenes. Looking back on Irony Curtain as a full package though, it's definitely got a beautiful presentation, but it also is a point-and-click adventure that offers between maybe 7 and 9 hours of gameplay, depending on how quickly you can navigate your way through those minigames and puzzles. And besides that, every single element of the game is worked in with some pretty witty humor that takes you along an unexpectedly rich coming-of-age story of the main character. And if you want a hint at the developer's motivations for what a player would get out of this game, they offer an opening quote before the gameplay even starts that says that an idea is something you have and an ideology is something that has you. And after having played the game, the intentions of that quote becomes so much more clear. But that about does wrap up the review of Irony Curtain on the Nintendo Switch, so if you enjoyed the review, or especially if you found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support. And don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. We're still a small channel even though we're growing fast, and if you want to support a channel that supports indie games and indie developers by providing some much needed media coverage, every like, every comment, and especially every subscription really does matter. But if you really like the Budget Gamer channel and maybe you want to get your hands on some advanced access to some of these reviews, you can always check out our Patreon page. But anyway, this has been the Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.